I'm Jessie Spano, and I'm so excited to bring you the stripped-out news brief for today's top stories. No sides, all facts. Let's dive in, shall we?
Welcome to the Stripped Out News Daily Podcast. Before we dive in, I wanted to let you know the Stripped Out News storefront is open and ready for business. If you want to support the project and get some premium gear, head over to strippedoutnews.com/merch. The vault is open. Monday, June 22, 2026. From Iran tensions, Greenspan's death, Crockett's firestorm, and data center backlash. Let's go. The U.S. Senate is currently reviewing a new defense bill that could significantly deepen the country's involvement in the long-standing Ukraine-Russia conflict. This development comes as President Trump's administration has reportedly been seeking an off-ramp or a de-escalation strategy for the hostilities. However, the Senate's current legislative direction appears to be moving towards increased engagement, potentially diverging from the administration's stated goals. The proposed bill specifically includes provisions for continued intelligence support for Kyiv. This support is intended to assist Ukrainian forces in their efforts to reclaim Crimea, a key territorial objective. Observers suggest this legislative move could further escalate U.S. commitments to the conflict. The consideration of this bill underscores ongoing discussions within the U.S. government regarding the extent of its foreign policy and military aid. If passed, the bill would formalize these specific support measures. This could influence the future course of the conflict and U.S. strategic objectives in the region. Recent Israeli strikes in Gaza have resulted in the deaths of 6 individuals. Among those fatalities were 2 children and an Al Jazeera cameraman, identified as Ahmed Wishach. The Israeli military has alleged that Wishach was a Hamas sniper operative. However, no evidence was provided by the military to support this claim. The Gaza Health Ministry has reported over 1,000 Palestinian deaths from these attacks. The situation underscores the continued volatility in the region, with ongoing military actions and reported casualties. Representative Jasmine Crockett's recent actions have sparked considerable discussion among political commentators. An interaction on the House floor involving Representative James Tallarico became a focal point. Reports indicate that Representative Crockett did not acknowledge Representative Tallarico as she passed him during a vote. This moment drew commentary from Keith Edwards, who questioned the nature of the exchange. Following his remarks, allegations emerged that Edwards had digitally altered an image of Representative Crockett, specifically accused of darkening her skin tone. Separately, Jessica Tarlov also weighed in on the Tallarico interaction, describing it with a specific phrase that has garnered attention. Furthermore, Representative Crockett reportedly made statements to fellow Democrats that were widely interpreted as dismissive of their concerns. These remarks were characterized as telling Democrats to pound sand, suggesting a firm stance against engaging with certain issues. The events collectively highlight ongoing discussions about intra-party communication and unity within the Democratic caucus. These interactions continue to be a subject of public and political analysis. Former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli is challenging Governor Abigail Spanberger's ban on semi-automatic firearms. Governor Spanberger signed Senate Bill 749 into law on May 14th, enacting the prohibition. This legislation has already drawn multiple legal challenges since its implementation. Cuccinelli's specific strategy involves invoking a state constitutional provision that references the militia. He has publicly explained his decision to utilize this particular legal avenue. The former Attorney General stated, "They are the whole people," in reference to his interpretation of the constitutional clause. This approach aims to contest the ban's legality based on the state's foundational document. The legal action will likely lead to court proceedings to interpret the constitutional provision. This case could establish a significant precedent for firearm regulations in the state. Senator Ruben Gallego, a Democrat from Arizona, is facing scrutiny over his use of campaign funds for personal expenses. Campaign finance records show that his campaign paid for family travel, including flights and accommodations, as well as child care services. Additionally, the records reveal that the campaign funded tickets to the Super Bowl, an event unrelated to campaign activities. Federal election laws allow candidates to use campaign funds for expenses directly tied to their campaigns, but personal use is prohibited. Critics argue that these expenditures cross the line, while supporters suggest some costs, like childcare, may be justified. The Federal Election Commission has not yet commented on whether these expenses violate the rules. If they do, the senator could face fines or other penalties. This case highlights ongoing debates about campaign finance transparency and accountability, as well as the need for clearer guidelines on permissible expenditures. The Safeguard America Voter Eligibility, or Save America Act, is currently at the center of a heated debate in the U.S. Senate. This voter ID bill, championed by President Trump, aims to implement new requirements while ensuring voting remains accessible. Senator Mike Lee of Utah recently emphasized that Senate Republicans need to put in significant effort to pass this legislation, calling it a top priority. Proponents of the bill argue that it strikes a balance between making voting easy and preventing fraud. They describe it as a crucial step in safeguarding election integrity.
Conservative voices have gone even further, labeling the Save America Act as the most important piece of legislation currently under consideration. However, the bill has its critics, particularly those concerned about its potential impact on marginalized communities. They worry that stricter ID requirements could create barriers to voting. Despite these concerns, the bill continues to gain traction among its supporters. As midterm elections approach, the Save America Act's fate could have significant implications for voter turnout and political strategy. The Senate is expected to continue its deliberations in the coming weeks, with both parties gearing up for a contentious vote. This legislation could shape the future of election security and voter access in the United States. There's a growing bipartisan pushback against data centers across the United States. This opposition spans various political viewpoints, making the expansion of these facilities a significant point of debate. Now, this broad resistance is being examined through the lens of potential foreign influence. Allegations suggest that actors from countries like China are involved in campaigns to fuel this debate. These alleged influence operations are said to be contributing to the intensity of discussions within the tech policy space. Reports, including some from OpenAI, have emerged detailing these alleged efforts to shape public opinion. The claims raise questions about how external forces might be impacting domestic policy conversations. Some observers are wondering how long the development of AI infrastructure can remain a bipartisan issue. The ongoing discussion highlights the complex interplay between technology, politics, and international relations. Alan Greenspan, the former Federal Reserve Chair who shaped U.S. monetary policy for nearly 2 decades, has died at the age of 100. He served from 1987 to 2006, appointed by President Ronald Reagan and overseeing economic booms and busts, including the dot-com bubble. Greenspan was a towering figure in finance, known for his belief in free markets and his cautious, data-driven approach to interest rates. His policies were credited with maintaining low inflation and fostering growth, but later criticized for contributing to the 2008 financial crisis. The White House acknowledged his contributions, though his legacy remains debated among economists. Greenspan's tenure included the longest peacetime economic expansion in U.S. history, but also the early warning signs of the housing market collapse. His death comes as the Fed grapples with new challenges, sparking fresh debates about central banking's role. Memorial services are expected to attract top financial and political leaders, underscoring his lasting influence. The Federal Reserve's new era under Chair Kevin Warsh is off to a steady start, with the central bank holding interest rates unchanged at this month's policy meeting. This marks Warsh's first major decision since taking over leadership last year, appointed by President Trump, who had made no secret of wanting lower rates. But the bigger story here isn't the rate decision itself. It's the new chair identifying what he calls a credibility crisis at the Fed. Warsh has promised structural reforms to how the institution operates, though we're still waiting on specifics about what exactly that means. The financial markets barely blinked at the news, with stocks staying essentially flat after the announcement. What's interesting is that Warsh comes in with this reputation as a reformer. He'd previously served on the Fed board and was known for criticizing their lack of transparency during the 2008 crisis. Now the question becomes whether he can deliver on those reform promises while also navigating the administration's clear preference for easier monetary policy. Economists will be watching closely to see if Warsh tries to make his mark through policy changes or just procedural reforms. The next big test comes in September, when we'll get updated economic forecasts alongside whatever policy decision emerges. A tragic incident in Texas has reignited the debate over autonomous vehicle safety. On June 19th, a Tesla crashed into a home in Harris County, killing a 76-year-old woman inside. The driver told investigators that the car was operating in autopilot mode at the time of the crash. This isn't the first time Tesla's autopilot system has been involved in a serious accident, and it's likely to fuel ongoing concerns about the technology's reliability. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has been investigating Tesla's autopilot system for years, but no definitive conclusions have been reached. Advocates for stricter regulation argue that incidents like this show the need for tighter safety standards. On the other hand, critics worry that overregulation could hinder innovation in the autonomous vehicle industry. The crash has also sparked discussions among policymakers about whether federal regulations should replace the current patchwork of state laws. As investigations continue, this incident could have a significant impact on public perception and the future of self-driving technology. Alberto Carvalho has resigned as superintendent of the Los Angeles Unified School District, effective June 21, 2026. This comes 4 months after the FBI raided his home and office in February, signaling the start of a federal investigation. Carvalho had been on paid leave since the raids, and the investigation remains ongoing, though no specific charges or details have been disclosed. Carvalho had led LAUSD for 4 years, having previously served as superintendent of Miami-Dade County Public Schools. During his tenure in Los Angeles, he was credited with initiatives to improve student test scores, but also faced criticism over administrative decisions and disputes with the school board. The resignation has sparked mixed reactions, with supporters praising his efforts to modernize the district and critics pointing to alleged mismanagement. The LAUSD School Board is now tasked with appointing an interim superintendent while searching for a permanent replacement. The district faces immediate challenges, including addressing the fallout from the investigation and ensuring continuity in its operations. Wildfires are raging across the U.S. West, fueled by extreme heat, dry conditions, and strong winds. One of the most significant blazes, the Iron Fire in Utah's Juab County, was first detected on June 20th and has already burned 34 square miles. The fire forced the evacuation of Eureka, a small town with about 1,000 residents located southwest of Salt Lake City. Nearby ranches are also under threat, as firefighters work tirelessly to contain the flames. The combination of dry vegetation and gusty winds has made containment efforts particularly challenging. Authorities are warning that the situation could worsen if weather conditions don't improve. This wildfire season has been intensified by prolonged drought and unseasonably high temperatures, creating ideal conditions for fires to ignite and spread. Political reactions have been mixed, with some officials calling for increased federal resources to combat the fires, while others emphasize the need for long-term climate resilience strategies. Vice President J.D. Vance has pledged federal support for affected communities, though President Trump has yet to issue a public statement on the situation. Meanwhile, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani has expressed solidarity with Western states, highlighting the interconnected nature of climate-related disasters. These wildfires are a stark reminder of the broader challenges posed by climate change, especially in regions prone to drought and extreme weather. As firefighting efforts continue, experts warn that similar incidents could become more frequent without significant investments in wildfire prevention and mitigation. The immediate focus is on ensuring the safety of affected residents and containing the current blazes, but the long-term implications for climate policy and disaster preparedness are likely to remain a topic of national discussion. Serena Williams is making a stunning return to Wimbledon singles competition at the age of 44. The 23-time Grand Slam champion has accepted a wild card invitation, securing her spot in the ladies' singles draw. This marks a significant comeback as she continues her pursuit of Margaret Court's all-time record of 24 Grand Slam titles. Williams' participation isn't limited to singles. She'll also be competing in doubles, showcasing her enduring versatility on the court. Her return has sparked excitement among tennis fans and analysts, who are eager to see her back in action.
The announcement has brought renewed attention to Wimbledon, with many anticipating a historic performance. Williams' comeback highlights her resilience and dedication to the sport, even after years of limited competition. Her presence at the tournament is expected to draw large crowds and inspire a new generation of players. As the event approaches, the focus will be on whether she can add another title to her already legendary career. This is more than just a return. It's a chance to witness one of the greatest athletes of all time chase history once again.
I hear the horns, so it's time to bug out. I'm Jessie. I've been great, and those have been today's top stories, brought to you by Stripped Out News. Dive deeper on these and more at strippedoutnews.com. Go on, hit me up. Oh, wait, don't forget. Buy stuff. We're poor.